Hello, everybody, and of course, welcome back to another episode of X Talking Ish with your boy X.
And this,
You already know what to do. If you are tuning in on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast. If you are on our Facebook page, go ahead and hit that like button so you can follow our Facebook page as well. If you are on YouTube, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button so you can be notified for shows like this one in the future. If you hit that notification bell,
ding.
thank you for that, Ish. And
hmm
as well, check us out, X Talking Ish, on X. I didn't make this
It's
application.
on Twitter, bro. Stop that
I didn't make the
nonsense. No,
application. I didn't
no,
do this.
no,
Blame Elon
no,
Musk.
no.
So
Stop
it's
that.
on X/Twitter,
On
whatever
Twitter.
you want to call it. I don't know what it's called anymore. If
On
you saw
Twitter.
it last week episode, I've already went to my whole spiel about that new reformed app. So with that being said, welcome back once again to the channel. We appreciate y'all for tuning in once again. Before we get into tonight's topics, let me go ahead and just bring it back once again. I'm gonna talk
Bring
about
it
it
back.
all season long. Talk about it all season long. I'll put some more details out there on social media when it comes to being able to win this autographed mini helmet from Leonard Williams of the New York Jets when he played for the New York Jets. That can be a great item for yourself, or a great gift
Or a
item
gift.
if you're a father for a son or for a birthday or whatever it is. If you don't want nothing to do with the damn helmet because you hate the Jets, you can more than welcome give it away. But before
Hey,
you give it away, you still got to tune in to Next Talking Ish to know how to receive.
and don't forget, X is hand delivering it to the winner.
I've never agreed upon that, so I don't know why Ish keeps bringing that up, but we'll figure all that out later on. Anyways, back to the show at hand.
hmm
Um, as always, we come to you guys on a Tuesday night to recap the NFL on a weekly basis. And today is an unfortunate day for a lot of NFL players when it comes to NFL cut day. It is one of those days where it probably doesn't affect the normal day easy or normal um, everyday 9 to 5 person like ourselves. But once these guys are let go from these teams, they are back into the working class as probably going to be a 9 to 5 person once again. And some of these guys might not ever play football ever again. So it'll be interesting to see where some of these guys turn up. Some of these guys might be able to get onto a practice squad. Some of these guys might be able to go play in either Canada, XFL, USFL. We just don't know, but everybody's journey is different. Over the last couple of years, I think we've seen a lot more first round picks and also number one picks. And I'm going to throw a name out there very quickly. A guy like Marcus Mariota. We've seen the highest of highs and the lowest of lows when it comes to his situation. And I don't know if official. I haven't looked into it yet, but I did see that he might get cut. I don't know if it was it official. Did he get cut
I
this
don't
year?
know if it's official
If you
yet.
don't mind doing the research on that for me right quick, I would appreciate that. But again, a guy like Marcus Mariota, a guy like Jadeveon Clowney, who was just a couple weeks ago who didn't have a job and was trying to find the right destination for him, and he ends up in Baltimore. But these are guys who were number one, number two picks in their draft, and were kind of struggling to get onto a team. And you have guys nowadays because of just the competition within the NFL. You have so many more athletes than ever before. You're seeing these high profile names getting cut, and it's like kind of unheard of. But if I'm being honest with you, moving forward, I mean, this is going to be the norm just because of how competitive and deep the NFL is now, so more than ever. So before we do get into, which will be our topic 90 to 53, before we do get into the spill of all of the cuts and the free agents, let's take it back just a couple of days to when the Cowboys broke the internet. And that's when the Dallas Cowboys made the trade for Trey Lance. One thing I will say about the NFL definitely loves to not give us any type of um, topics for the week ish until literally about 2 days before our show, and then they hit us
Right
with a
after
bow,
our
bow,
show.
bam, almost every week so far. It's been like this for every training camp recap that week that we've done this for the last couple of weeks. At first, I would hit you up and like, hey, we're gonna be able to have a show. I mean, we only have like a couple of topics to really talk about. Then all of a sudden, you get hit with this, you get hit with that, and this is one of those topics, the Dallas Cowboys trade. A lot to unpack. I'm gonna stop talking because I want to throw this over to my boy Ish and hear his thoughts about this because what a wow, right? I mean, that's pretty much in layman's terms that you can lay it out straight and forward. So I'll throw it over to you, Ish. Let me hear your thoughts.
Real quick to follow up on the Marcus Mariota thing, he did not get cut by the Eagles. He's still the backup for Jalen Hurts.
Thank you for the update,
So
sir.
that is good news for Mr. Mariota. Um, as for Trey Lance, who did not win the backup job in San Francisco and instead got traded to Dallas, this is yet another case of Jerry Jones being Jerry Jones because I honestly, for the life of me, could not understand what was going on here. Why? Other than my one thing that I guess I'll say is maybe they don't have faith in Dak moving forward, and maybe this is Dak's last year in Dallas. Maybe, just maybe, the hot seat. He might be on a warm seat or some sort of seat, and who knows? I don't know what their thought is behind bringing him in because obviously, when you bring in a guy that I know they didn't give up 3 first round picks to acquire him, but when he has that in his history, there's gonna be some chatter. There's gonna be some expectations, and I'm interested to see how this is handled in Dallas. I'm also interested to see, and I want to get your take on it. If that gets hurt, so we throwing in Trey Lance?
So, like I said before I threw it to you, there's a lot to unpack here, right? And going over a lot of people's opinions about this trade, this obviously can go in a lot of different ways, right? This can go really, really well. It can go really, really bad. It can go in. I mean, it can go in the middle. It's just it's a very touchy situation because it's a quarterback, right? If this was an offensive lineman, if this was a wide receiver, a DB, this wouldn't even be a topic because it would just be, oh, we're just adding to the arsenal because we're a wide receiver, right? Oh, we're adding more depth to the defensive back position because it's a DB. Because it's the quarterback position, that's why this topic is such a big thing. And also, obviously, it's the Dallas Cowboys. And also, these two teams are rivals. I mean, these two really don't make that many amount of trades amongst each other. And for it to be Trey Lance to be sent to Dallas, of course, right after the I guess gaining the confidence back from Jerry back to Dak to let him know he's the guy, and then inserting Trey into the mix. And from what they report, apparently Jerry didn't get the okay from Dak, or not even okay. I'm sorry, even give them the heads up. My apologies, the heads up to Dak or Mike McCartney that hey, this is what we're going to do. Now, most successful NFL franchises that are not just successful in the regular season, but are successful in the postseason and beyond are on the same page: ownership, GM, head coach, QB1. Usually you're on the same page of what you're trying to do. Now, when that chain gets broken and you have these maybe little clicks, maybe a little bit of, I'm the quarterback and I'm throwing it out to New England when it comes to like Tom Brady back when he was back in New England, where I'm the quarterback and I don't feel like I'm getting what might just do. So I'm going straight to the owner because we have that type of relationship. That type of scenario. You have a scenario where the coach and the GM is tight and they don't care about the owner or the quarterback. There's so many different type of scenarios to where the reason why this trade is so, to me, the reason why it's so interesting is because of the injury history with Dak, right? It seems as though Dak will find a way to miss at least probably 3 to 5 games, maybe, right? And if that's the case, Trey Lance comes in, and I'm not saying light it up. Like I don't think changing Trey Lance from where he was at in San Francisco right to Dallas. I don't think him just plopping into Dallas, he's going to automatically pick it up from where he was at North Dakota State.
For sure.
That's what I don't think that's what's going to happen. What I think what needs to happen for Trey, and what should happen is you need to take your butt in that QB room learn as much as you possibly can, because a lot of people talk about how great Dak is as a teammate, as a QB mind, as a pro, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if you can go in there and learn and soak everything up, and if it is your time to get thrusted out there, you have weapons galore, right? Wide receiver. Hopefully, Tony Pollard is still there by week 8, week 12, whatever it is when it's time for Trey to come in, and
Mm-hmm.
you can do enough to win games, but not be the one that causes your team to lose. If he
Okay.
can do that, it can allow him to hopefully regain some of that confidence that he lost over the last couple of years. Because, like I've stated over the last couple of weeks with Zach Wilson in New York, and people are quick to just roll their eyes and say, "Oh, Zach Wilson is going to be trash." I mean, his story is still being written, right? I mean, it's we can't just throw some of these guys out at year 2 or year 3, or we can't crown some of these guys. And I'm going back at your guy, Patrick Mahomes, after year 4 or 5 or whatever it is, when we still have to see how the story ends up, right? And I'll use a great example. I was talking to my wife about players that we remember them being on their second team rather than the first team. And the main person that I brought up was Marshawn Lynch, right? If you think of Marshawn Lynch, everybody thinks of Seattle Seahawks days, right?
I think of the
But
Buffalo Bills days. I remember those days.
okay, you remember because you're a football mind. But for
Yeah.
the casual fan, or even a fan that watches the NFL but just sometimes forget, right? A lot of people forget he played for Buffalo before he played for Seattle. But he's more well known being in Seattle, and that's where, let's be real, Seattle probably saved his career. And maybe the same thing could happen for Trey, or maybe Trey could just be a bust. And unfortunately, Trey and Carson Wentz might be the two that make North Dakota State look bad when it comes to that QB department right now. Because a lot of people said, no, 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 don't do it for Carson Wentz. We saw how that happened, right? How that fell out. And we saw a lot of people say, no, 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 don't get Trey Lance because
I
he hasn't had
mean,
that many starts.
he did lead a team to the Super Bowl. I can't necessarily say he won a Super Bowl, but
Okay.
Carson Wentz, I don't like that comparison there, but I will say I support you in the sense of North Dakota State and there being something around that. Although the caveat with Trey Lance is Trey Lance hadn't played a lot even at North Dakota State and when he was coming out. Like he didn't
Yeah.
have the snap
Yeah.
count
And
to
these are the
say,
same question marks a lot of people have about Anthony Richardson, right? Even though he played, higher
yeah,
level,
higher
better
level for sure.
conference,
Yeah.
but there's still those worries and concerns about a guy like Anthony
Oh yeah.
Richardson.
Yeah. Like they just don't have that level of experience playing the position at a high level, right? Like, let's just be honest. A lot of these other quarterbacks that come out, they have so many snaps at a high level. You kind of have an idea of, exactly what they're working on, where they're at in their growth process, and how you can help them along. With Trey Lance, I feel like he hadn't had enough snaps for you to really say where he was in that whole process of growing as a quarterback at an elite level and like how he was going to make that adjustment to the NFL. So I feel like a lot of what we've been seeing is him learning on the fly as well as the coaching staff learning on the fly of like what are the things that we can continue to strengthen with him, what are the things that we probably should shy away from because of his skill set and what he can process, what he can't process. Like there's a lot that goes into that I just feel like it will be good for him to change teams, get a change of scenery, kind of lose, not necessarily lose the history of the 3 first round draft picks, but put that a little bit further behind him, right? Because he's no longer on the team that gave up the 3 first round draft picks. But at the end of the day, I think experience is what he lacks and experience is what he needs. But sitting behind Dak Prescott, are you gonna get that experience? I don't know. Are you going to be able to soak up enough behind him that when you do get in that you're going to be able to do what you need to do to help the Cowboys, who, I mean, let's be honest, this is a team that wants to get back to the playoffs. This is a team that wants to compete for an NFC East. And with Trey Lance as maybe your backup, is that possible? Do you still have the same expectations if he ends up coming in?
Well, again, I state this all the time now. I know my wife gets tired of me saying this, but when you have two good quarterbacks on your roster, which is now I feel like more of a necessity than ever before in the
Mm-hmm.
NFL, you have a better chance of making it further than other teams. And I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to use the Chiefs as an example. I'm just saying that if you look at other teams in the top five, top seven, when it comes to not even statistical, I'm talking about playoffs and the last 8 teams remaining, right? Most of
Mm-hmm.
those
Mm-hmm.
rosters are going to have obviously the QB1 who's supposed to be starting, and you have a QB2 who is the reason why they don't start. But if they come in, they're not going to go in there and do silly stuff. Most back in the day, in the 70s, 80s, even hell in the 90s, if your backup quarterback came in, it was like, all right, I guess go ahead and pack it up. I don't know, we can win this game. I mean, for the most part, but then you have some little flashes here and there. Guys like a Jason Garrett, all right, coming in for the Cowboys, a little something here and there, a little bit of Matt Schaub for Michael Vick, here and there, and some guy, I don't know, some guy named Tom Brady. He kind of broke the mold on that one. So once you put all this together, with with the NFL now more so than ever, it's probably only what out of 32 quarterbacks is what maybe 4 or 5 that have played all 17 games.
It's become
So,
more rare. It's
if
pretty
that's the
hard.
case, if Dak is going to miss a game or two, then Trey Lance, it's now or never. It could be now. To finish up, because we're have to go ahead and move on a little bit from this topic. I'll throw this back to you because even though Dak has another 3 more years on his contract, I tell people this all the time, and I know a lot of people like to brush it off because they just see the contract for what it is. Contracts don't mean nothing, okay? Contracts can say they're guaranteed for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, whatever. Okay. These contracts are year by year basis, especially in the NFL. NBA, completely different. MLB, completely different. Stop trying to compare because it's not the same. When it comes to the NFL, these are year by year contracts now. So if that is the case, if Dak, which is possible, if Dak goes out there and throw for another plus 10 more interceptions, hell, even lead the league in interceptions, and the Cowboys regress after having another stellar year on defense where they might even lead the league in takeaways once again, which would be 3 years in a row, and the Cowboys continue to fall short. Remember, Zeke ain't there no more, Dak. Your comfort buddy, he ain't there no more. So if you regress, if Dak is the reason why they regress, if I'm Jerry Jones, especially due to his age for the most part, it's now or never. We gotta find a way to win now because I ain't gonna be here too much longer, and I don't want to leave this earth without touching one more Lombardi trophy. So that's my thing is this season is just like the Cowboys season for our last 15, 20 years now, because Jerry Jones like to play it out this way. It's just going to be another movie. And it's going to be very interesting by midway point, by Thanksgiving point. How are the Cowboys going to be looking? Are they going to be looking the way they should when it comes to a 10-plus wins team? And you might not even hear anything too much about Trey Lance, and Dak is out there leading the brigade, and they're doing what they're supposed to. Or we're going to have question marks because Dak has thrown for 6 interceptions over the last 4 games. Are the defense isn't playing as well as they should? If you start having these whispers, it's mainly because you're not winning. So again, it'll be very interesting to see how this all plays out. I don't have a prediction, or I really itch. This is one that's it's interesting how the Cowboys went about this, because if you look at their roster, I mean, for the most part, you think that they're a playoff minimum, conference championship, maybe appearance team, maybe even a Super Bowl team roster, moving forward. And I thought with Trey Lance moving to Dallas, I'm being honest with you, I think it makes their roster that much better if everything plays out right. If this was another team, if this wasn't the Dallas Cowboys, you look at this roster, you're like, man, okay, maybe this will go to Super Bowl. But because it has that Dallas star on there, everybody's like, oh, well, like Fracture Wanda says, Cowboys being Cowboys. Let me get to the comment section right quick. Fracture Wanda says, this move was done because Jerry thinks Trey can be a version of Jalen Hurts. He did, of course, mention about how he wished he could have drafted Jalen Hurts. Fracture also says whom which Jerry said he wanted to draft, which again, he literally Fracture literally just said what I was about to say. Thank you for that. He also said before having to pay Dak when it comes to contract wise. Also, Fracture says I think of Marshawn driving that golf cart on the field after they won. And then also 49ers should have taken Mac Jones, who is Brock Purdy. Mm, I'll,
Mac Jones.
I'd rather
Don't worry,
have.
we're gonna get into Mac Jones later
Oh,
on.
we are. Oh, we are. But I'd rather have Brock Purdy. That's just
I don't know.
that's just. I don't see the specialness in Mac Jones. That's just me. We'll talk about it shortly.
I don't think he's special, but I don't know. I don't know that Brock Purdy's much better.
I mean, he's that much better for the system that he runs in San Francisco, I guess. All right, let's go ahead and move on to 90 to 53. And like we talked about earlier, this is cut day. So a lot of people are moving on to either other teams or to practice squad rosters. So just because somebody got cut doesn't necessarily mean that they won't be on the team. They can still be on the team, of course, on the practice squad, and you can maybe see them move up within the season and, again, maybe show face once again. Um, we'll start off right where Ish left off, and when it comes to Mac Jones and the New England Patriots, very, very surprising move. I feel like they kind of took a page out of the Tennessee Titans book just a couple of days ago when the Tennessee Titans let go both of their kickers, and they had no kicker on their roster. They do have a kicker now, of course, now former Patriot player, Nick Folk, who is now with Tennessee Titans. But the New England Patriots pull out a bold one out of their hat and say, we're only going to have one quarterback on the roster for now. Most likely they'll pick up somebody. I don't expect them to have just Mac Jones on the roster going into week one. But the Patriots decide to waive Ish's I would say second favorite quarterback behind Danny Dimes, Mr. Bailey Zappi. And if you tuned into the show here at X Talking Ish, you would know if you want to win, you got to put Zappi in. And they also let go of Malik Cunningham, who, of course, is, some people would say, the poor man version of Lamar Jackson. That's no disrespect at all. But what's interesting about Malik Cunningham is that he came into the Patriots organization and also the NFL itself and said, I don't care. You can put me in whatever. I'll play whatever. You need me to go play ass back? I'll go play ass back. As long as I'm on a roster somewhere. And unfortunately, it seems as though that didn't help him still receive a roster spot. And being honest with you, New England would be the best spot to be able to do that. They've seen them multiple times be able to help players extend their life because of either special teams play or changing their position from quarterback to wide receiver, aka Julian Edelman and others. So for the Patriots, and of course we'll get into others as well. What is up with this move?
I honestly don't know. I don't know. I saw this and I was in disbelief. Um, like you said, they only have Mac Jones on the roster now. Obviously, they're going to make some move to go bring in some sort of veteran or something. Um, I I just don't know what to say because I thought my boy Zappy had done enough to prove to them that when the offense is crappy, you bring in Zappy. It's as simple as that. Um, so I'm interested to see what Bill Belichick has going on. Honestly speaking, after this move, though, I'm gonna go ahead and solidify and say my man is on the warming to getting hot seat. Okay, if Bill Belichick doesn't have a good season this year, he needs to go. Robert Kraft, I know you've been thinking about it. Yeah. I know you don't want to be the guy to let go of, what some people may say, arguably one of the best, if not the best head coach in NFL history. Mm-hmm. He needs to go. If you're letting Zappy go, Brad, he need to go. And Greg, not too much on my boy Zappy, Brad. He's better than the Canadian League. All right, you need to be you need to be trying to ask your Texans to go ahead and bring him in instead of Davis Mills as the dang backup here, because clearly, clearly, the Texans gonna need some sort of help as well because the offensive line. I'm sorry, I don't know how long C.J. Stroud gonna last. That offensive line is already torn to shreds, and we just got done with the preseason. So, I don't know what y'all thinking down here, but Zappy might be able to come in. Like I said, your offense is crappy. Bring in Zappy. The Cards, Fracture Walnut, he's not going to the Cards because the Cards trying to lose. Okay,
Pretty
they
much.
clearly are trying to lose.
Pretty much. And we'll talk about that in Jiffy too. So we'll wait for that in a second. Yeah, very interesting. I was not expecting that one to happen. I don't know what's really going on in New England on their, I guess, the path that they're trying to create, either with Mac Jones or for the future.
I don't know what they trying
I'm,
to
I'm gonna be honest with you now. I don't think New England believes in Mac Jones. I think they're going to try to move on from him by some type of way. I think maybe after he just finishes up his rookie deal, I think they just let him go, maybe. But I don't really think that. I, Reports say that Robert Kraft and Mac Jones has a pretty good relationship, and that's fine. But Robert Kraft also likes winning as well too. And when you've been spoiled by Tom Brady over the last 20 years, no matter how cool you are with somebody, if your ass ain't winning, we have to get somebody else in here that can win. This is it's gonna be a very interesting year for the New England Patriots. And next week's show, we'll of course discuss division winners. We'll discuss coaches on hot seats. We'll discuss bold predictions. That's going to be a very interesting show next week. And yeah, Bill Belichick definitely probably most likely be a name on some of these lists because of it's what have you done for me lately league. This isn't a what you do for me with Tom Brady over the last 20 years league. And Belichick, even if he left the Patriots after the season, there will be at least 10 to 15 teams lined up ready to let Belichick coach your team, right? So it's not like Belichick, quote unquote, has lost it or nobody would care for his services or he's just outdated. I don't think it's that at all. Patriots had a great defense last season. We obviously know that that's not the issue. The issue is itself is the offense. I mean, the offense have been a dud since Tom Brady have left this team. And can they find themselves this upcoming season? I mean, with the receiving core that I see in front of me, I don't really see it. Now you have a decent two back system, right? You have Zeke Elliott after a refreshed year, getting his body back right and trying to just prove to not just everybody, but also probably to himself that he can still play in this league at a high level. And then, of course, you have Stevenson as well, who's been a consistent back for them since last season. And also, again, another guy nobody talks about, but we need to is Bill O'Brien. This is an audition year to see how to see if Bill O'Brien deserves to be back in the league. We're being honest because for a guy that choked away a playoff victory for the Texans they should have been back just 6 years ago. This is an audition tape for him to see if his offensive scheme is as good as it was.
He needs to just stay as an offensive coordinator. He's not auditioning for any head coaching positions or GM positions after we saw what he did in Houston.
I mean, but why not? Maybe it was the organization of Houston, the ownership and the GM.
He had free reign to do whatever he wanted, and he traded DeAndre Hopkins for peanuts.
Sir, Jonathan Gannon has a head coaching position right now. Anything is possible.
Hell no.
I don't pass. Nothing in the league surprises me.
I'm done.
Nothing in the NFL will surprise me, and it will not surprise me at all if Bill O'Brien becomes the head coach for another team.
Bro, if this man, he shouldn't be
depending on how
head coaching position. I bet somebody will give him an opportunity because they do, but he shouldn't not with full control. No,
that's not probably going to happen. Well, again, if he goes to a real organization, unlike the Texans back when they were what they were 7-8 years ago, they won't let that happen. But again, the NFL is a league full of surprises, so you just never know what you're going to get out of
I
that
guess
box of
we'll have to wait and
chocolates,
see.
and we just have to wait and see. But I don't believe that that would happen. We'll just go ahead and get past Mr. Bill O'Brien. The point is that for the Patriots, um, this is a team that is, I would think, in the fourth place position at the for the AFC East looking up. I just don't.
Mm.
I don't see them being better than the Jets. I don't see them being better than the Bills or the. Is nobody, Patriots fan or not, nobody can tell me that the Patriots are going to find a way to be better than
Any of
the
the
Jets,
teams in the
Dolphins. I
AFC
mean,
East.
I'm
Any of
sorry.
them.
I'm sorry.
Nope,
I
none.
can't. The defense, yes, the defense is going to be there. Other than that, the only way the Patriots win games they're not supposed to is by turnovers. Turnovers playing sound offense, which is their MO. But again, I'm trying to talk myself into it now. I'm just like, oh, maybe the win. No,
No,
not
it's
doing it.
not.
No,
No,
not doing it.
no, no,
So,
no, no.
anyways, let's move on. Let's get back to some of these cuts once again. Ish, do you have any surprise cuts or anybody that got let go that you didn't see happening? And also, if they did get let go, do you see them joining another team or staying on that same practice squad team for the team that let them go?
PJ Walker. He didn't perform well in preseason, but it's interesting that he got supplanted by, well, it's not official yet, but undrafted rookie Tyson Baggett, um, gonna back up Justin Fields or be at least in the conversation to back up Justin Fields, and PJ Walker is no longer on the Chicago Bears. Of course, we have the situation in Arizona with Colt McCoy being let go, which that's a whole mess in and of itself. I'm trying to think and look if there are any other ones that really caught. There was Cole Beasley with the Giants, but that you could kind of see that coming.
He's at
They
the
had a
end
lot of
here.
additions at wide receiver.
Cole Beasley, he done.
Yeah,
He
he
done.
done, man. He done. Julian Edelman 3.0, whoever, I don't know. We've had so many clones.
3.0, more like 1.5.
Okay, 1.5.
Relax.
I don't
Relax, sir.
know what clone we want to
That's
make
a poor man
number
Julian
we
Edelman.
want to
We're
give
not even
him,
going to
but
classify
yeah.
that as the next version. No, we're not doing that. I will say, and it's no, I don't think it's a surprise because of he's like that electrifying wow good. I just think I think he's somebody that can actually help out a team
Mm-hmm.
because he got cut, and the person I'm talking about is Chosen Anderson, aka Robbie Anderson, wide receiver from the Miami Dolphins.
Yes,
I just think that was just a numbers thing on that one. I think from what I saw film wise, he looked he looked fine as a wide receiver. I think he can join a team like here in Houston, and you can maybe play these two little small wide receivers here with Tank Dell and Chosen Anderson, or again, he could be a third wide receiver or fourth wide receiver on a really good team like the Chiefs, maybe. Again, I don't think y'all bring him in, but I'm just saying he can add some value to a team that's looking for a consistent and a pretty speedy wide receiver at that wide receiver 2 or 3 level.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he's relatively still young, and as long as he ain't out here, doing silly stuff, I think he can help out a team in the playoff run. But again, we have to see where he lands. If he lands with a team like the Arizona Cardinals, like he was on previously, he probably ain't going to playoffs anytime soon. And I think we're beating up on the Cardinals too much, but we'll continue to do that towards the end of the show because, again, I wanted to save them for last. It wasn't a cut, but it was a trade, and I talked about this earlier. Tennessee Titans acquiring Nick Folk. Tennessee Titans, for whatever reason, just continue to keep having these kicking issues with their kicker ever since. Looks like, I guess, Fat Randy Bullock was their main kicker just a couple of years ago. After being let go from the Titans, they just have not been able to have any consistent kicking game. Now you have Nick Folk, who's arguably one of the better kickers in the last 10, 15 years in the NFL. Does that help the Titans in their kicking woes and everything else on their offense? I think
Probably so.
it helps with more consistency, but Tennessee Titans as itself, The offense is the one that's going to have to show up. They're going to have to figure out a way to figure out who's going to be able to make these electric plays besides Derrick Henry. Somebody on that wide receiver core is going to have to step up. I think the defense is a sleeping giant. And yes, I'm saying this as a fan and also as an analyst because if you do look at that the makeup of this defense at the moment, especially some of the pieces they've acquired in the offseason, um, it's going to be very scary hours for some of these quarterbacks that they're facing. And their first test will be in New Orleans against Derek Carr, who I think is a guy just like I just talked about with Trey Lance, going back to Trey Lance, going to a new environment, a team that might actually want you and wants you to succeed here and wants you to be great. I think Derek Carr has an opportunity to be able to show how good he is in the Saints uniform. So we'll see how that all plays out week one, and of course other matchups throughout the NFL. We'll talk more about that on Thursday as well. We'll preview, of course, that Thursday opener between the Chiefs and the Lions. Very interesting matchup. I know, of course, when that schedule dropped, everybody was like, "What the hell, the Lions?" Yeah, Lions. But we'll see who's really real. You got some Lions fans out here. I think they're going to the conference championship game. I respect the
They're
loyalty,
entertaining.
but
They're entertaining.
they are. So again, we'll see how that all plays out on Thursday. Like I said, we'll talk about that more on that opening game on Thursday, and then of course join us once again on Sunday mornings because we'll be here to introduce week one of the our preview week one of the rest of the slate on Sunday, and then of course on Monday as well. Other than that, are there any other cuts or anything else you want to talk about going down to 53?
No.
Alrighty then. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Colts running back Jonathan Taylor. He will start the NFL season on the PUP list, physically unable to perform list after the trade that did not occur for him and the Colts. Of course, it seems as though that the Colts were trying to find a trade partner. Don't know how hard they were trying to do that, but seems as though that Jonathan Taylor is still unhappy and still will be unhappy in Indy. This is I don't know. This is just very interesting because obviously we know running backs are underpaid. We've been talking about this last couple of weeks now. Not just underpaid, but just underappreciated, right?
Yep.
And for Jonathan Taylor and the Colts, I mean, it seems like as Kanye say, it was all good just a week ago, and now all of a sudden, Jonathan Taylor wants nothing to do with the Colts. I mean, kind of low key feel like Deshaun Watson with the Texans at one point in time, trying to force a trade out. Obviously, it happened, but all the outspill from all that happened, and we are where we are now. But for Jonathan Taylor, it's like, what happened? What did you go talk to Jim Irsay and he pissed you off that much? You like, hey, I can't work for this man no more. But I guess we can say this will definitely be John Taylor's last year in Indy, and we'll be moving on. I mean, if you want to chime in.
This is no surprise. I knew he was going back. We talked about it, I think, a couple weeks back on the show, and I just said I didn't think there was going to be any kind of trade that would materialize that would be of interest to Indy because you got to look back at what Carolina got for Christian McCaffrey, and when you got Christian McCaffrey not going for, I think the highest pick he went for was a second round, and they got 4 picks in that. But outside of that, you thought you were getting the first round for Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, not gonna happen. So I knew that was coming. The interesting part is gonna be, when are they able to resolve this? I don't know what happened. Can they resolve it? Is it salvageable? Is he going to come back and play as soon as he's ready? Or is he going to, maybe come up with an injury to kind of drag this out? I don't know. But definitely some dysfunctional stuff going on in Indy. And the worst time for that to be happening, or the worst season for that to be happening, because unlike seasons past where they went out and got a really high-profile veteran quarterback that is ready to step in and basically it be playoffs or bust. They're starting a rookie, and it would help to have one of the better running backs in the league, and to not have that now just makes that transition all that more harder for him.
100% agree, especially like you said for Anthony Richardson coming in and not having that workhorse of a back that will alleviate a lot of pressure off of you, not having to be perfect as a quarterback on every play. Let me get to the comment section right quick because I'm missing my boy Fracture One. He says, I don't understand why the Texans kept 3 quarterbacks. I was sure Case was going to get cut. If I'm being honest with you, though, Fracture, I feel like Davis Mills should get cut before Case. I like Case as a veteran presence. Obviously, he's well known in Houston. Houston obviously loves him and whatnot. I mean, I think for not just city morale, team morale, obviously as well too. I think you keep Case Keenum over Davis Mills. That's my opinion. Fracture One says, and Casario missed hard on K Green. He also says Bob going to get next year either get a gig next year either in New England or Cleveland. I know Frank One keeps bringing up that Watson connection. I don't see it. I don't think Watson and Bill O'Brien hate each other.
I don't think they're cool like that.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't think Watson really want anything to do with that whole Houston stank. Right? I guess. That's my opinion. Anderson to the Colts to give AR5 more weapons since JT is gone. And Fracture One says for 4 weeks when it comes to Jonathan Taylor being out. Again, with this situation for the Colts, what's interesting is besides the quarterback situation that they've had to deal with over the last 6-7 years now, starting a different quarterback every year, it seems like they just can't find any type of consistent. For whatever reason, it seems like Peyton Manning has put such a chokehold on both of the franchises that he left from that they just cannot find anybody, not to replace him, but just play decent quarterback. And I'm talking about the Colts and the Broncos. Obviously, Russell Wilson was supposed to be the guy to help, restore some type of quarterback order, but we saw how that worked out last year, and now he's getting another opportunity, new coach. We'll see how that all plays out. But the Colts, man, they're just, if it wasn't for Peyton Manning and doing what he was able to do there in Indy, they really would be a dumpster fire of an organization. I'm so serious. If you look at that organization, if it's not for Peyton Manning, they would not be looked at the way they are looked at.
Tony Dungy.
Of course, my apologies. No disrespect to Tony. He's the OG.
Don't do Tony Dungy like that.
You're 1,000,000% correct. And, of course, the other wide receiver weapons, the Dwight Freeney's, Robert Mathis's, of course, and the Lions, the Bob Sanders, everybody. I'm assuming you got names to name. My point is that for the Colts, they, unfortunately, are like I wouldn't call them the stepchild. I wouldn't call them the bad little Tyler, as we call it, Kyler Murray. They are like the plague that you want nothing to do with comparison to the Dallas Cowboys. They think they are the Dallas Cowboys, but they don't have the rings to show for it. They don't have the history to show for it. And the owners, talking about both owners, Jim Irsay, likes to try to be like a Jerry Jones, but fell at it miserably every time. Wifey and I were watching the preseason game last week, right? Jim Irsay comes into the booth and he's talking to the color analyst that's doing the play-by-play for the Colts, right? And my wife looks at me and she says, "What is he trying to say?" I tell her straight up, I say, I do not know, because the way that he is speaking, he's literally, my God, we're going Colts football. I swear to God, go watch the film. I don't make this up. He literally spoke in one long sentence of a paragraph and didn't make any sense. But when you own the team and, you got plenty of money, you can do the hell you want. And the way that he's just been running his organization ever since Peyton left, I just don't see the Colts being what they think that they are, if that makes sense. And I feel bad for a guy like Anthony Richardson because I think Anthony Richardson is a special talent. I think he can be a great quarterback, but I don't want him to be destroyed playing with a franchise like this and not being able to actually showcase his amazing talent with a team that can actually show off his ability the correct way. That's my fear for Anthony Richardson. Everybody's going to say, "Oh, see, I told you so. I told you so." But in reality, it's not him. It's the management group. Ish.
Yeah, no, I don't know. The Colts are definitely in an interesting situation, and just this situation with Jonathan Taylor just kind of is the icing on the cake over the past couple of years of just dysfunction. It seems like in the organization of um, the identity has been lost since Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck left. Um, you've been jumping from veteran quarterback to veteran quarterback. You finally, struck gold with Jonathan Taylor, and you made the right moves on the line. And then to have this situation pop up, it's just like it's yet another thing. And the worst part about this whole situation happening right now in Indy for that organization and the fans is that the AFC South is ripe for the picking. Like you would hope you would hope you would be the one organization to have your stuff together in the AFC South, because in Tennessee, while they've been doing well, there's a bunch of there's a lot of question marks going on in Tennessee. In Houston, clearly it's been a dumpster fire. In Jacksonville, you always think they're kind of figuring it out, and then they find a way to just kind of, throw it all away at some point in the season. And maybe this may be the year for them because the other three organizations just don't know what they're doing right now. It just seems like there's a lot of just question marks within this division. And for Indy historically to have been the, stable creature to now being part of that dysfunction in the AFC South, I feel bad for those fans because this really could have been your year, right? Like, and I don't know, maybe it still can. There are a lot of young. I mean, all four teams in the division have young quarterbacks this year, starting for them. Um, you
Ryan
know,
Tannehill ain't young.
well,
Don't you ever dare say Will Levis or damn Malik Willis gonna play for the damn
yeah, they're
Tennessee
gonna
Titans.
play.
No,
They're
no, they're
gonna play
not.
at some
No,
point.
no,
We know they're
no.
gonna play at some point.
Hamilton, no, no.
Okay, they're
Continue,
gonna play at some
continue.
point. We already
Nope.
know that.
Continue, sir.
I mean, I just at some point they're going to play. Their hope in all the organizations in the AFC South, this is the year, really. Whoever can figure it out first, they're going to win this division, probably barely with a winning record. No, I think Tennessee could have a good winning record, and they're likely going to win it, but we'll
It's
see.
really, it's really, it's really determined on the Jags and the
Jags
Titans.
and the
I mean,
Titans, yeah.
it's really going to come down
The
can
other
the Tex
two
and then the question behind that is can the
misfits.
Texans actually compete and maybe
No,
pull an okey doke on both of those teams?
no,
I doubt it too, but everything is not played on paper. Of course, we have to see how everything plays out, and
don't
it's a
matter.
battle of nutrition when it comes to football at the end of the year. So let's go ahead and move on. I think we have enough of the Colts talk and Jonathan Taylor hoopla. Let's finish it up tonight out in the desert. And Ish and I, we were talking about this off the air, and we were kind of joking about the hashtag Tank for Caleb, but um, it's true. I mean, if you see what's going on out in Arizona, I mean, anybody with half a brain and one eyeball can clearly see what's going on out there. Ish did mention that the Arizona Cardinals released Colt McCoy, a guy that's been able to come out there and fill in for games for Kyler Murray. Again, two quarterback system. Come in there and win some games and be able to continue his pro career as a pretty serviceable backup quarterback. They have a new head coach, Mr. Jonathan Gannon, who comes over from the Philadelphia Eagles, who, let's be real, a lot of people feel as though that he was not that great of a defensive coordinator, and he probably don't know what the hell he's doing as a head coach. Because apparently one thing that he wanted to discuss to reporters is that he's not going to name a week one starter because he wants to he wants to continue to have the competitive advantage by keeping the starter a mystery. Sir, the two starting quarterbacks two quarterbacks on your roster right now is Mr. Joshua Dobbs and Clayton Tune. So, with that being said, Kyler Murray as well is another person that is on the pup list, meaning that he will not be available the first 4 weeks of the season. Meaning that by minimum, you only be able to play 13. If Kyler comes back and most likely will be the starting quarterback, can Kyler pull off a run to allow the Cardinals to maybe make a run at the playoffs ish?
No. And with some of the moves they've made in this offseason, I think it's more than clear that they are not trying to win. Not necessarily that the players are going to go out there and not try to win, but I don't know that. And I think we talked about this with Lovie Smith when he was here with Houston, and there was the whole debacle of him winning that last game. And, the question came up of like, well, why wouldn't you just, tank or lose? And we talked about how, like, throughout the season, they didn't necessarily put the players in the best situation to win those games. And it just, kind of was crazy that it came down to that last game and that extra point. But I do think the Arizona players are going to go out there to win the game. I don't think the organization is going to put them in the position to try to win games. And we can clearly see that with them letting Colt McCoy go. Come on. This is it. The guy has done the job for you up until this point. I get you got a new head coach there, but really, you're going to acquire a guy and he's only been there for like a week and that's going to be your starter now? Or you're going to have some random guy be the starter? Like, come on, man. This it's clear that Arizona wants. And let's just be honest. I saw somebody pointed out they also have Houston's pick. They could have two picks in the top five. It could be you could have Williams and Harrison Jr. So if you're Arizona, maybe we pull a Rockets and tank to make sure that we get the top pick. And then maybe they force the NFL's hand to say, "Hey, dude, y'all can't do this anymore. Like we cannot have teams go out there and tank." But maybe, just maybe, it's gonna take the Cardinals doing it this year for us to have to change those rules.
First one says Hackett is this year. Gannon, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hackett of the year is Gannon. My apologies. My apologies. Hackett of the year is Gannon, and also he says Dobbs is going to be the starter for them.
Oh, yeah.
And put this in perspective, Dobbs is a guy that's only been on the roster for a little over a week, and the backup quarterback, Mr. Clayton Tune, is a rookie. So again, this is Ish said, as a player, you're going to go out there and go try to win because nobody likes going out there and go lose. But when everything is written on the walls and everybody knows what's going on, I feel very bad for the players. I know nobody's going to really feel bad for the players getting making millions of dollars. I understand all that. But when you go out and you go play football, especially at a high level, and you are going out there and you want to win, but you are not put in position to win, mentally, that's going to get to you by week 13, week 14, week 15. By week 15, all they're going to care about is I'm ready for the season to be over with, so we can go on vacation. And a lot of players are going to check out. And there are going to be some players that are going to get traded, of course, throughout the season that want to go to other teams that want to compete and win something. But like Ish said, until the NFL step in to make some changes, this is a grade A tank job. I went ahead and looked at the odds to see over under for wins for the Cardinals at the moment is 4.5. So if I'm a betting man, I'm gonna go ahead and put some money down there. Right now it's at a plus 120, depending on the sports book that you bet at. But I like my odds on that one. I'm thinking about 3 or 4. 3 or 4, hey, 3 or 4. It gets you an extra $120. That's some easy money right there. But for the most part, is the risk worth the reward, right? I mean, the Cardinals, another organization, just like the Colts, when it comes to just doing some stupid stuff over the last 5 to 10 years, you go out and you get Josh Rosen, right? Everybody forgot about Josh Rosen, right? You got to go get Josh Rosen. He wants to be the next Aaron Rodgers. He's coming in. He's hot shit. Within a year, they move on for him and get Kyler Murray, right? Get Kyler Murray. Those be your guy. The greatest high school Texas quarterback ever, right? Okay, we're going to bring in your college coach because you have such a great relationship with him. We saw how they started off in the regular season. I'm sorry, in the beginning of this regular season, and how the end of the season finished off. We saw Cliff's record everywhere he went. You start off high, and you usually end up like a dud. And now we're a year removed from Kyler and his big contract and the hoopla that came amongst the contract when it comes to him not studying his playbook. So everything that the Arizona Cardinals have done over these last couple of years now, it might, in their eyes, it might seem like they're doing the right thing. But what happens if Caleb Williams isn't as good as who we think he is?
Well, let's ask you this. Do you think some of the controversy around Kyler and not only the injury, but the playbook thing being part of the contract, and then that, like, them having to address that and everything, do you think that's kind of worn the organization down a little bit to, like, maybe this guy just isn't the guy to lead the organization? Not that they don't believe that he could be a franchise quarterback in the league, but maybe he's just not their franchise quarterback, and
I think this can be a beautiful nightmare for both parties.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is, I think both parties, because at the end of the season, this really could happen when it comes to splitting up. I think both of these, I think Kyler will be on a new team next year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Cardinals, if everything goes right, if you can get Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr., and if that can be your foundation moving forward, then you won, right? You won. You've been able to start over fresh, and nobody remembers the Josh Rosen era, and nobody remembers the quote-unquote the process like the Philadelphia 76ers, right? And Kyler Murray can go maybe to Dallas Cowboys, maybe to the Seattle Seahawks, maybe if they decide to move on from Geno Smith, depending on his contract situation, maybe for maybe a team like the Tennessee Titans because it's Ryan Tannehill's last year. There's going to be some teams out there that might want Kyler Murray's services, but like I stated with Trey Lance and Marshawn Lynch, maybe your second team is what will allow you to be at your best. So it's going to be very interesting, again, how this all plays out. Again, the Battle of Tyler, once again, on our show, talking about, what he can and can't do. I want to bring up this first comment first from Greg. Kyler Murray to the Rams or Tampa. I like those two teams. I like that. I like the outside of thinking box on that one. But I would take the Rams before Tampa. But I do like that because Stafford, he's an elbow away from being out for the rest of the season. And Tampa, you better hurry and get some help over there, or boy, Mr. Bowles will not have a head coach.
Gone.
Greg says, and he asks this question: is Caleb Williams even worth all of this? I'll make it short and sweet. Yes. Ish.
Based off the tape up to right now, yeah.
Fresh one that says, at Greg, in my opinion, yes, but at the same time, he has a lot of talent around him at USC. Now let's take it back now. He was doing this before he got the.
He was doing it in Oklahoma as well. I mean,
again, same type of system, right? Same type of 4 or 5 wide receiver set. Hell of a athletes all across the field. it's easy to say. It's the same thing at Alabama, right? When Tua and Jalen Hurts and all them Mac Jones are all there, and you have all these weapons at wide receiver and also running back, so it makes you probably look a lot better than what you are. But when I look at Caleb Williams, his intangibles, the way he's able to get the ball out, the size, of course, this is one of those guys where he call me crazy. He's the black version of Justin Herbert, but he might actually be able to win something in the league. Because if Justin Herbert don't get into some goddamn win columns where it actually mattered, we might start looking at him like just another big size quarterback with a big arm, and who cares?
I think at the minimum he comes in and he's a solid starting quarterback in the league.
Oh yes,
right?
I agree.
I think at the minimum he's a solid starting quarterback in the league. And
now, of course, it all comes down to where you go and your coaching staff and what type of system they run.
Well, he's likely going to Arizona.
Well, if he goes to Arizona, then yeah. But again, okay, so Arizona, who are you going to get to coach him up then? That's really what it comes down to.
The real question is, right? If it's not Arizona, then who?
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about that throughout the season, of course, and we'll talk about that probably in all season after the season is over with. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be something to think about as well. I mean, one thing I do know, Caleb Williams going to get picked up, one or two. It really, of course, all depends on how the teams line up. It might be a team like the
New England Patriots.
Oh Lord, I don't even think about Caleb Williams going to the Patriots. Oh man, let's. Oh, we had such a good show. Now you want to ruin it with that? Don't ever give the Patriots anything good. Let's not do that. For everyone that says surefire first overall pick, no other QB is close at this point. Might be the only quarterback taken in the first round next year. Yeah, and then we're waiting to see. I like the Pac-12. Yeah, look, the Pac-12 have the most NFL-ready quarterbacks at this moment. The Pac-12, for the first time in probably decades, have the best slate of quarterbacks in this upcoming college football year. And it's really not even close. But it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out quarterback-wise, because I think we'll see probably a third quarterback come out of nowhere right from the ashes and say, hey, look at me. We saw Notre Dame's quarterback, Sam Hartman, who, if I'm being honest with you, I don't believe anything that a Notre Dame quarterback does, because 9 times out of 10 are going to be bums.
He's doing that at Wake Forest, though.
Like I said, I do not believe any Notre Dame quarterbacks when they get to the NFL, because 9 times out of 10, they are bums.
So he was doing it at Wake Forest. Also, don't forget Quinn Ewers at UT. There's a lot of questions around.
There's three.
Was the hype before he got there?
There's 3 UT quarterbacks that could be starting right now for UT.
Well, we'll see. No, they say that right now, and then sure enough, we're gonna get into the season. They're gonna drop the first game to Rice for some reason.
We'll see. Fresh one that says, I'm ready to see prime time on Saturday night against TCU.
Yeah, let's see what Shedeur Sanders is able to do.
TCU is a 20-point favorite at the moment. So we'll see how it plays out. I don't think Colorado gets beat by 20. So again, if I'm a betting man, go ahead and
like 20
on that cover. You might win a little bit of coins on that one. All right. So with that being said for tonight, thank y'all once again for tuning in. Before we go, again, I just want to let y'all know. Forget, tune in this season. You might be able to win you a autograph signed by Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams will have a better opportunity to drop it off to your front door than I will. I'm just letting y'all know right now. First one that says 11 a.m. X. Oh yes, man. Yes, sir. I'll be there. Besides my kids probably wanting to watch Bluey, I'll find a way to watch it. The game will be watched. But for the most part. We thank y'all as always for tuning in. Next week will be a great show because, like I said, we'll be talking about divisional winners, who's on the hot seat, bold predictions. We do this every year. Your next Talking Ish. This is a great time because we get to go back and look back later on and see who the hell is right and who the hell is wrong. So be very, very interesting to see who decides to pick who for some of these divisional winners, especially AFC East, AFC North, NFC South. Again, that's a bad conference. So who will be able to rise from the to the cream of the
Oh
crop of
goodness, with that
that
one.
division? So who knows? Maybe the greatest division in the world, the AFC West, might show up. I doubt it, but see them Raiders.
We go with that bull.
The
Here you
Raiders,
go.
they feel as though that their backup quarterback, Mr. O'Connell, can be the heir apparent to Jimmy G. So,
Yeah. Okay.
saying it's gonna be a
Just
very
go ahead
interesting.
and end it on that.
It's gonna be a very interesting NFL season. So we'll be here to cover it all. Thank y'all once again for joining us here at X Talking Dish. See y'all next week.